Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. A quick info before we begin. Today's video has 2 stories and both of them have updates. Now let's get started with the first one. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user UnknownFuture1. Me, 42 male, with my fiance, 38 female, of 1.5 years, were planning on moving in together and things fell apart. What now? My fiancée Amy and I were dating for a year before getting engaged. I have 2 teenage daughters and she has a 5-year-old daughter. Our relationship has been great, except for a few things. We live on separate sides of town, which means we don't see each other all of the time. When we do, we spend our time in her area. She doesn't have a close or really any relationship with my daughters. We were planning on moving together and buying a house close to her daughter's school since she has a long way to go. My daughters will be a senior and freshman in high school this upcoming year. They would continue to go to the same high school and would have to drive across town, 35 miles, to get to school. Their mom moved to a different city about 9 months ago and they stay with me full time. My parenting plan hasn't been updated to reflect that though. Now, since about 3 months ago, my relationship with Amy has been going downhill. She has been getting very mad and taking things out on me. About a month ago, she yelled at me in front of the kids due to not getting a house and she was blaming me. I have never been spoken to like that before and she showed signs of being emotionally abusive towards me. I'm afraid of doing something that she will get mad at or not what she wants. My daughters feel the same way. After a few weeks, we decided we were not going to buy a house together and move in. We almost broke up and recently decided to give it one last chance. She has been super nice and loving towards me the last few days. She apologized for being crazy and said that she wanted to work on it. I had already sold my house since I thought I was moving and had to be out in a few days. I'm loading my items into a pod this weekend and she never offered to help me. I didn't ask. I don't feel supported in this move unless it is to move near her. I'm trying to figure out how to move forward. I want to buy a house near my daughter's school so they are still close and continue to be involved with after-school activities and their friends. Amy wants me to buy a house closer to her so we can work on our relationship. When I express my concern about my daughter's school, she simply replies, "She has a car that you paid for and you pay for her gas, so it shouldn't be a problem that they have to drive that far to school." I understand her point about being closer and I'm still extremely skeptical about our relationship and our future. She expressed that she definitely wants a future with me. I love her very much and, at this time, still want a future with her. Is it unreasonable to buy a house near my daughter's school and continue to work on my relationship with Amy? If it works out and she builds a trusting relationship with my daughters, I would be happy to sell my house and move closer or buy a house with her. Is it better to move closer so we can work on our relationship and give it a better chance of surviving, knowing my daughters will be put in a more difficult situation? Well, it'll be in short, yes and no. As you already know, your kids come first. And the funny thing is that somebody that you would spend the rest of your life with, somebody that would love you, actually would advocate for your kids. But apparently, her relationship with you is about what she wants and how she gets what she wants, and if not, then she becomes abusive. And then she backpedals because I'm guessing she's worried that you actually saw her true self. Because I get the idea that that moment that she screamed at you and that she was incredibly angry at you, that was her true self slipping out for a little bit because she put her guard down for a second. The rest is a facade. I mean, let's face it, she has no interest in forming a relationship with your daughters and she dismisses you when you raise up your concerns about that. And I know this is a lot of speculating, but I get the impression that this person would be happy if your daughters weren't a part of your life and had moved away with her mom. So OP, if I was in your situation, I would prioritize my daughters in order to find a house, and if Amy's love is as strong as she says, then I think the distance shouldn't be a problem, particularly if it's to benefit your daughters. Like I said in the beginning, somebody that loves you would advocate for them. And what do you guys think about this whole situation? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Ivy the Witch says, it's easier for a 5-year-old to change schools than a teenager. She doesn't come across as someone who is super supportive of your choices or parenting style, and I honestly think that the two of you should consider a compromise in the housing issue if you decide to push forward. A halfway point in the city would be an option, but honestly, it seems like she is someone who maybe is used to having things her own way. I don't know, just a thought. And Opie responds, hi, I think Amy is used to having her own way. She can only live in a few different cities and counties per her parenting plan. Pretty messed up. Worksome Wonder says, she honestly doesn't seem to care about your daughters at all. The flippant attitude about them having to drive 35 miles one way to and from school is telling. She hasn't tried to include your daughters or even get to know them. She's making you choose between her, which has already emotionally abused you, and your daughters, who depend on you. Even if you don't see it that way, I bet your daughters do. And Opie responds, it would be 35 miles one way. I do agree that I feel like she is making me choose. I know that I must choose my daughters over her. I just wish she would understand my situation and be supportive and help ensure that we are all comfortable and that we move forward the correct way for all of us, not just for her and what she wants. DPP Throw 45 says, she gave you a glimpse of your future with her. Sad you sold your house, but you know this isn't going to work. You have a full plate with 2 almost adults to guide. Why risk that? Make a clean break of it. Get a place close to your daughter's school and get on with your life. The next episode isn't going to be nearly as pleasant as the last one, but you'll have committed to a mess much harder to extract your family from. Sorry. And Opie responds, my current house has some major problems, so I'm happy to get out of it. I'm hoping to work on our relationship while I help guide my daughters through life. Additional information from Opie's comments. Her parenting agreement requires her to live in certain counties. My daughters go to a school in a different county, so she couldn't move with me. Also, she wants to live in the city and I'm in the burbs. Still, is it too much to ask her to wait until my daughters finish high school before moving forward? I know it's not ideal, and I think that if it's a future we want together, she needs to work on herself and how she behaves, and I definitely won't be buying a house with her, and I won't move in until there is a better relationship with my daughters. There are so many great things about our relationship that I really don't want to lose it. There are some red flags that I see that would need to be worked on, and right now, she's definitely not stable enough to move forward at this time. I think she will have a meltdown, most likely with me, and a very good chance at my daughters. So I'll probably buy a house, and if things improve with Amy, I can sell it. I know it could be risky to buy and sell after a year or two, but I absolutely don't want to lose my relationship with my daughters. Okay, well, the community's letting OP know that there are a lot of red flags here, and OP apparently sees them, but he still wants to work on this. However, he will not let go of the relationship with his daughters, and that's the most important thing. So how about we move with the update to see how this story ends, but before that, of course, here's another one of my playlists for you to enjoy after this video. Now, let's move on with that update. I spoke with Amy today about our future. I expressed that I was concerned that our relationship was emotionally abusive and that I couldn't subject my daughters to that environment. She then went on the attack and started to tell me that I'm emotionally abusive and listed things that I have done to make her feel that way. She then went on to chastise me about letting my teenagers run my life and that she was blown away that I would ask her to marry her and then suggest that the timing wasn't right. She continued about my daughters, saying that they are hard to communicate with and that she's frustrated that they would rather sleep in instead of getting up and going for a hike. She said she disagrees with how they were raised and that she's tried to incorporate them into her life by inviting us to do things. The thing she doesn't realize is that she doesn't interact with them on these outings. She then said that her 5-year-old daughter wasn't excited to move in with us and that my daughters are just playmates to her and that she sees them as only wanting to sleep and watch TV. It felt like she thought that they were a burden. I thought it was a crazy low blow bringing my kids into it. Who goes after somebody's children during a breakup? Her daughter is a handful and I never thought about bringing her up. But then she continued on about how I'm making her out to be the villain and I'm the victim. This continued via text for almost the entire day. She then turned into the victim, telling me that she hadn't been treated this poorly since her ex, whom she hates, and described how much she did and tried to do for our relationship, and that she felt like I dehumanized her because of how the things I told her about her being crazy, her words, and abusive. I started to feel bad and was questioning whether I made the right decision. This is a part of her manipulation plan. I did tell her I was sorry for how it turned out, and she said that I'm passive-aggressive and that this whole 1.5 years I was manipulating her and never had the intention of marrying her. She said I never had her back when she was trying to get my daughters to do things. She said that I never took responsibility for how I behaved and that all I ever did was blame her. Oh boo-hoo. She then said she wished I would have just left her alone. Not sure what she meant. I feel like I dodged a huge bullet. She didn't really care about me or my daughters. I know I made the right choice and there is still a part of me that feels regret. She still has my ring and a few items and I have a key to her condo. She called to arrange a time to exchange it and then it turned into another fight. She then started in again on my daughters and then I said that I was done and hung up. I plan to have somebody either go with me or get the items for me. No way I'm going to set myself up for her claiming anything. Smart OP. Finally, in the last few days, she's changed her tone. She's acting depressed that we didn't make it because she thought for sure we would last and be together and that's what she wanted. She's trying to rope me back in. I'm not going to respond. Anyway, my daughters and I had a really nice conversation tonight. They told me that they were happy we weren't moving with Amy. They never felt comfortable with her and would have been really mad at me if we moved in with her. This was our last night in our house. We sat around talking about life, our house, and our future. I haven't felt this close to them in a while. It felt so amazing. Thank you all for your feedback. I have no doubts I made the right decision. Smiley face. Well, OP, yes and yes, you dodged a huge bullet and you made the right decision. And in the aftermath of everything, you actually improved your relationship with your daughters, which is just fantastic. So I'm gonna call it a win-win for everybody, except Jessica, but she's got her own stuff to deal with. So OP, here's wishing you the best in the future. Thank you so much for sharing and take care. Now, let's move on to the next post that, like I said in the beginning, also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user TakingSides88. Me, 26 female with a friend, 28 female of 2 years. She wants people to treat her one way, but she is treating me the exact opposite. Long story short, I met my friend, let's call her Jessica, through a now ex-friend, Tim. Tim was increasingly toxic and emotionally abusive towards me to the point where it caused me to have a breakdown. I cut off all contact with Tim, but Jessica retained contact. I wasn't super happy about this. Not only did it bring up really bad memories for me and seemed like she was minimizing the abuse, but I was also afraid it was unhealthy for Jessica. After talking about it, Jessica decided to remain friends with Tim, but distance the relationship a tiny bit and also to never discuss it with me or me with Tim. I accepted that Jessica could make her own choices, but did allow myself some distance between myself and Jessica. Fast forward about 7 months. Jessica has a whirlwind romance, gets engaged, finds out that she isn't compatible with the person at all, and ends horribly. Jessica becomes depressed and starts leaning on me for support. I make myself as available as possible to her because I don't want her to feel alone. However, Jessica is lashing out and cutting off everyone who has any form of contact with her now ex-fiancé, which is a large group because they are in the same graduate program, which happens to include my long-term boyfriend's mother. My boyfriend's mother tried to mentor her through this because it was a difficult and emotional situation. Jessica, however, saw the fact that my boyfriend's mother didn't fail her ex as a betrayal. What? Which admittedly, the ex isn't a great student, but this is ridiculous. Now she is bashing my boyfriend's mom at me, putting me in an awful position because I am also worried about her depression and the fact that she has burned so many bridges. Fast forward 3 months to now. To make everything worse and to get back to the first bit of information, she is now hanging out with Tim a lot and posting it all over her social media. It felt like a slap in the face when I first saw it. I called my boyfriend crying. My boyfriend and I are supposed to be going out to dinner with her soon and I don't know what to do. Cancel it. I feel she's being hypocritical to throw tantrums when people even speak to her ex in a professional context, but she is still close friends with someone who abused me. I feel angry and hurt, but also worry about her. Can anyone give me any advice or perspective? If I should cut off contact, how do I do that without feeling guilty because she is still depressed? If I shouldn't, what should I be doing to make things better? Well, Opie, in my opinion, she's not your friend, and she's pretty self-absorbed. Like that thing with your boyfriend's mom. From the way you wrote it, I get the impression that your boyfriend's mom was a teacher to the both of them, and because she didn't fail the guy because he dumped Jessica or whatever, she saw that as a betrayal? Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's nuts. Anyway, to your main question, how can you cut her off without feeling guilty? Well, I think that's mainly up to you, but you just need to internalize that her depression is not your responsibility. And if she's hanging out with Tim and you're worried that she is hanging out with Tim and it's bad for her, well, she's an adult, she's making her own decisions. However, if you're really worried about her that much and you want to try to help her out before you cut her loose, well then see if she still has any other friends or family members that could help her out in this time of need, and you can just hand it over to them and move on with your life. And what do you guys think about OP's situation? What would you do if you were in her shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Sanguinare12 says, reality check, people breaking up can't expect their entire social groups to simply refuse all contact with one or the other. Life doesn't work that way. It's reasonable to go no contact with anybody toxic to you. It's unreasonable to expect everyone else to do the same. But she seems like somebody you could very much do without. And OP responds, I should elaborate. Tim wasn't just toxic, he was incredibly abusive. He gaslit, demeaned, and isolated me until I had a series of anxiety-centered breakdowns that led me to a dark place, self-harm. That then led me to being taken out of my education for a semester. I didn't expect her to go no contact, but right now, she is acting like they are the best of friends. And with the way she has reacted to people even keeping a business-like relationship with her ex, makes it feel like she either doesn't see the hypocrisy there or is actively invalidating what I went through. God Rests in Reason says, what reason do you have for feeling guilty? In fact, let her be the one to cut you off. Boom, guilt-free. And OP responds, I don't know. I worry that since she is depressed and acting rashly, she might do something to harm herself or her future. I have been there for her through all of this. I'm not sure. The stuff with my boyfriend's mom and Tim are really changing how I see this. To which OP gets a response. Why are you taking on the responsibility of her mental health? If she's going to harm herself, there's a lot more wrong with her than you could have possibly caused no matter what. And certainly more than you're equipped to deal with. And finally, Fat Poofinland says, she's not your friend. Concise and to the point. Okay, well the community in one way or another is encouraging OP to let Jessica go, and apparently OP is on her way to doing that. So let's move on to the update to see how the story ends. So Jessica messaged me the other day flipping out. She was mad because she had found out that 2 acquaintances that graduated before us were having a small wedding shower with just close friends and immediate family on campus. She found out because another friend asked to stay with her that weekend, both to see Jessica and to go to the shower. Jessica isn't invited to the shower because she isn't that close to the couple. Well, she saw it as a great personal insult and ranted and raved at me about how much she hates all of them and has now cut off both the couple and the other friend. Then things got nasty. I tried to get her to calm down and she started talking about how she is going to crash the party and make sure they are miserable and how she hopes they divorce, or if they try to have kids that all they get are miscarriages. Really hateful things. Then she starts going on about how everyone is treating her like the bad guy for doing these things, when really they are making her do them. I told her off in a major way and told her I was going to contact the couple to warn them. Then she told me that I of all people should understand her pain because of how Tim treated me, who she still talks to, and to go F myself, and unfriended and blocked me. It's funny because my boyfriend and I were working on a plan to cut her off based on the replies to the original thread, and then she did it for me. Unfortunately for her, she isn't on good terms with her family and has no close friends other than Tim. Whatever, I am letting her make her own decisions. I am not her punching bag, so I'm staying away, and of course, the minute she unblocks me, I will be blocking her. I am done. I have the support of the people who care about me and a few others I have talked to who knew what was happening and built a little support system to encourage me in this. It's a relief to be able to say that. I have contacted the couple and warned them, and they are taking precautions. It's gotten to the point where everyone can see what is really happening, and she has very little influence on people who matter. At this point, people are more worried that she is a danger to herself. I am staying as far away as possible. Kinda glad the toxicity is gone. I am also really thankful for the advice you all gave me. Well, OP, I don't know if it's a happy update, but it's definitely a positive one now that Jessica is out of your life. Hopefully she gets some help and works through whatever demons she has, but they're certainly not your responsibility. So here's wishing you all the best in the future, OP. Thank you for sharing and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.